Welcome to Big Pick 4, the NFL picking show, where Big Danny D and Big Brian B give you the best 4 picks for NFL Sunday games, to include the Big Danny D guarantee and the Big Brian B guarantee. Only win the Big D going, who's now 4-2. The Big B is 3-3 on the week. Only win being the Big D with the Browns, which was a good call and a blowout. Chargers win but don't cover. Packers is a push against the Dolphins, and the Falcons outright lose. Comments?
The Big D comes through again. I am the great prognosticator. Cleveland is 1-18 against Pittsburgh going into that game, since they came back in the NFL, and they killed them. Pittsburgh stinks. And the Packers and we just got screwed on that one. They decided not to start playing until the fourth quarter, so that was a push. The other games, Atlanta, I don't know what the hell happened there. They're awful. They used to be fantastic at home, and they just got their asses handed to them.
And my anti-love train bit me in the ass.
Yeah, I know.
Fucking Raiders, man.
They had the guy on ESPN who said, pick the Raiders this week. But
whatever. Hey.
The Raiders, they lost, but they didn't lose good enough.
Yeah, because Tony Sperano buried that football.
That's right.
Someone else buried the football?
Yeah, Tony Sperano buried a football earlier in the week to symbolize that football is dead or something. I don't know. It didn't work. It's still lost.
Rex Ryan did that.
Oh yeah, that's true. He did.
Yeah, well, didn't work for them either.
And I guess the other thing is, the Packers won, but I don't think they looked that good, even though they came back in the last 2 minutes to win the game. I think most of the game the Dolphins actually should have won that game. They were in control of that game, I think.
Yeah, I agree. They kind of screwed it up in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I think when teams go down there, aren't used to the heat and stuff, their endurance. They were talking about that on NFL Network, how a lot of these teams that aren't used to the weather go down to Tampa and Miami, and it's like 80 degrees, and they have trouble.
Especially Green Bay.
Yeah, Green Bay guys aren't really used to that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but they won the game.
I know, but now I'm back on. I got another strategy going here, so we'll see.
Now have a combined pick, Week 7, NFL. Where I say the overall is right now, rolling off of
9-14-1.
14-1. Let's get it back. What's our best case scenario? We come within one of 500.
It would be 13-14-1.
Let's have it, Danny D.
All right, the first combined pick for Week 7 is Cleveland at Jacksonville. Cleveland is favored by 5.5. We were going with Cleveland. Cleveland plays Jacksonville, Oakland, and Tampa Bay the next 3 weeks. They could be 6-2 at the halfway point, which is remarkable. Last time they won 6 games was like the Carter administration. They blew out the Steelers last week in impressive fashion, and I think they're going to pull out the Jaguars. Jaguars have nobody on offense. Everybody's hurt. Marcus Lee is hurt. Mercedes Lewis is hurt. Toby Gerhardt's hurt but he blows anyway. Their defense is awful. I know they held down Pittsburgh, but their offense stinks. They held down Tennessee last week and still lost, but even though their offense stinks. But I like what the Browns are doing. Eventually, they're going to get Josh Gordon back in a few weeks, and it should be better after that. Their defense is okay. I know they lost their starting center, but I don't think it's really going to affect them in these 3 games against these lousy teams. But we're going to take Cleveland this week. They win by a touchdown. They win the game, as I mentioned several times. Before the last 2 weeks, Jacksonville have been losing every game by an average of like 34-14 or something. They're just getting crushed week after week. And I expect Cleveland to have a big day. They do good stuff. They run the ball. Hoyer's played well. They do good play action to the tight end. Jacksonville usually gives up in the middle of the game, so I expect an easy victory here for the Browns.
Combined pick. Number 1, you're taking your Browns. Going to the hostile home field of the most feared Jacksonville fans.
We're not here.
So we will now have combined pick number 2, Brian B.
All right, combined pick number 2 for Week 7 is going to be Kansas City. They are +4. They're traveling to San Diego. I know San Diego's playing well. They're 5-1, but they didn't look very good last week against Oakland. The defense got shredded by Derek Carr. And the big thing, I mean, my main sticking point this week, I'm just going to go with one thing, that Andy Reid is, I think he's lost twice. I think he's like 13-2 in his career, coming off a bye. Kansas City lost to San Francisco, but they look good. They only lost by a couple points. It was at San Francisco. They killed the Patriots. They made Tom Brady look pedestrian, that defense. And I think now they're getting a little more creative on offense. I think they're starting to use Travis Kelce a lot more. And now they got DeAnthony Thomas. He's not hurt. I mean, he's playing now. They can use him a lot more. I think they'll get the running game with Jamal Charles. His ankle's a lot better now. And Niles Davis has been playing well. I think they'll run the ball. I think they'll throw to Travis Kelce. I think the defense will be able to get pressure on Phillip Rivers. And no, just that Andy Reid stands at 18-2, including playoffs, coming off a bye. He knows how to scheme. When he's got that extra week, he comes up with a good game plan. Chiefs defense has looked a lot better the last 2 or 3 weeks. And I think the Chargers will win, but the good thing about this game is it's +4, so the Chargers win by 3, but we would still cover. So I think the Chiefs will cover. I think they're going to play them tough. And for all those reasons, go with the Chiefs and go with Big Red.
Yeah, and Doug Peterson, his secret weapon.
How do you make Tom Brady look pedestrian? I think he drives most places, doesn't he?
Good one. Yeah, that's a good one.
No, I actually think he flies.
See, this is why we have no audience, Dan. Stupid jokes like that.
Yeah.
I don't even have my drum roll on here anymore.
My
what happened to
God.
my drum roll, my rim shot.
Roll, man.
My rim shot. What happened to my rim shot?
I don't know. What happened to a lot of things?
No, I mean,
Sound, song.
I make a good point, because if you want to be a good sports analyst, look pedestrian. What the hell does that mean? Look pedestrian. How does he look if he's looking pedestrian?
It made him look average.
This just comes from the guy who says they don't show fighting during games. So
Dan knows what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
It made him look average.
Well, the Chiefs' defense, if you look at the numbers, they play a lot better at home than they do on the road. I think.
He found it.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I know, but I'm just saying he's making a big deal out of this, but their defense plays better at home. I think whoever his name is, Houston and Ali have most of their sacks at home in their careers. It's like 65%. But no, I think the point about the bye week thing is big, that Andy Reid's 18-2 coming off a bye. So I think they could either win outright or it should be a very
I was
close
only
game.
saying that the Chiefs defense has looked better the last couple of weeks because of the way they played against Brady, and Crabtree.
They lost last time. They lost against the usual Andy Reid lost before the bye. Against the 49ers.
Yeah, but it was 22-17. It's not like Kaepernick had 500 yards passing.
No. I
think the Chiefs defense played pretty well.
Yeah, and I think if they can double team the receivers, San Diego hasn't run the ball very well. Most of their top receivers are all hurt. So they should have a shot. They need to play the San Diego playbook here and run the ball and try to control the clock, and that's how they'll stay in the game.
Get pressure on Phillip Rivers.
Yeah.
And now a word from Big Pick 4, Week 7 sponsor.
Europin Shifting Sharerik Bavaria Alternate Distributor Lemon Foods.
Welcome back for Week 7. Are you for real?
Danny D.
All right, this week's my Are You For Real is John Gruden, who was incredibly comparing Austin Davis to Drew Brees for some reason. It was a Monday Night Football broadcast. It was one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard. It was so stupid. Drew Brees had what? 4 or 5,000-yard passing seasons? And a Super Bowl victory, NFC Championship game. This guy has won one game his whole career. It's the Rams. I mean, come on. Don't be trying to drum up interest for a lousy game as it turned out. It's ridiculous. Yeah, this guy's Drew Brees next coming. Look at him. He can move like this. It's like Drew Brees. He can probably take out anybody. It reminds us of a game many years ago where the Eagles were playing Tampa Bay and Josh Johnson was playing for Tampa Bay. The Eagles were absolutely killing Tampa Bay. It was like a 45-17 game. It was ridiculous. But the stupid announcer went on and on about how great Josh Johnson is. Where is he? Does anyone know who he is now? This was years ago. Yeah, it was absolutely ridiculous. And this is the same thing. It was just so absurd and dumb to say this guy is Drew Brees. I mean, it's insulting to Drew Brees.
Yeah, that is.
John Gruden's a moron, and he proved it there. So that was
Chucky,
ridiculous.
good old Chucky.
I just it was horrible. So that's this week's Are You For Real.
You For Real, Brian B.
My brother is not going to like my Are You For Real this week.
You For Real.
You're not going to like this one, Scott. I'm going to go with the Cincinnati Bengals field goal kicker. 38-yard field goal would have won the game. Instead, they ended in a tie. A fucking football game, an NFL football game, ends in a tie, and the guy can't kick a 38-yard field goal he missed, and it made it a tie. So that is my Are You Fucking For Real? I think a 10-year-old kid can make a 38-yard field goal.
The best part was they were all confused after the game. They're like, do we hug? Do we congratulate? What do we do here? And then the other funny part was they mentioned, because the last tie was the Eagles versus the Bengals, they mentioned the McNabb thing.
That's
so he
right.
thought they kept playing. He didn't know the rules.
Yeah.
Well, please refresh us on the rule, because if it was a playoff game, we would have kept playing, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
but a regular season, it can end in a tie. After
Yes.
you play a full quarter, it can end in a tie.
Well, a few years ago, this game would have ended immediately because the Bengals scored the first field goal, and that would have been it. Because the first score won the game. But in this instance, Carolina got the ball because the Bengals didn't score a touchdown, so they kicked the tying field goal. And so otherwise, the game would have been over. But because of that new NFL rule, it caused this to be a tie.
But still, and then my other favorite part of that is they actually, Andy Dalton, the play before, got down and centered the ball.
You got to talk into the microphone.
And he centered the ball. He not only missed a 38-yard field goal, it wasn't even on a hash. It was in the center of the field, and he couldn't make it.
Yeah, he rolled over, and the stupid announcer said, "Oh, it's a fumble."
Yeah, it's like that too. Yeah, it wasn't a fumble.
It wasn't a
he was
fumble.
centering the football.
And then he saw the replay. He's like, "Oh, I guess it wasn't a fumble."
Yeah.
I mean, I think even he was tired at this point from doing this game. This game took forever. It didn't end till like 5 o'clock. It was a 4-hour game.
I was like, what is he talking about? Like, he's putting
I
it in
think,
the center of the
yeah, I
field.
know. He was tired, and he had enough. And then the kicker's like, "Okay."
Yeah.
And it's like,
How do you miss? You're a professional kicker. It's a 38-yard field goal.
And he
It's
doesn't
like a
play-
50-yarder.
And he doesn't play for the Lions.
Yeah, he doesn't
I
play
mean,
exactly.
and it's like, you got to make that.
Yeah, and
You
you're
got to
paying-
make that.
I mean, even he probably gets at least $1 million a year. I mean,
guess.
kickers
I don't know.
make-
They said he's on the hot
800
seat anyway.
Yeah.
That guy, he missed some more kicks before, so he might be on his way out. But
Yeah,
that's ridiculous.
Sorry, Scott. I had to go against your Bengalis.
That was awful.
Who they gonna beat? Nobody.
And what made it even worse is stupid Fox cut to that game instead of going to the Dallas-Seattle game, which was I wanted to see, because I could have watched the other game on Red Zone. I didn't care about that.
We can only have one. Are you for real,
Oh.
Dan? We can only have one.
You know what? Just be thankful that you didn't have to pick the Jets game or the Tampa Bay game this week.
Oh, we should have picked Baltimore last week. Oh, man. Flacco had the game of his life.
Yeah, what was that? You know what? I didn't even look. What was
Yeah, I mean,
It was
why?
like 7. I don't know.
7?
I mean, you're missing some big what do you call it? Some low-hanging fruit there, right? With the Ravens last week, and I thought there was another one. I mean,
Yeah, thank you, Mr. 2020 hindsight.
I know. Yeah. You know, everybody would be rich, Scott, if they could bet after the thing already happened.
Yeah, well, you kind of look like Doc Brown. Maybe you can make a time machine. We can go back in time, beat up Biff, and then
By the way,
bet on those
the Cubs,
games.
isn't it? What, the Cubs supposed to win in 2018, right?
No, 2015. It's next year.
Next year, the Cubs are going to win the World Series.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we are 370 days, I think, away from Marty showing up from 1985.
no, did you? But in all seriousness, did you think that the Ravens Bucks was going to be a close game or what?
I don't know why we didn't look at
I don't know. I think it was a big spread. I think the spread was like 8 or something,
Yeah,
8 or
it was like
9.
8. Yeah.
It was a big spread. Now I didn't expect that kind of blowout.
You're right.
Tampa Bay, I didn't think that was gonna be that bad. I mean, that was just ridiculous. He threw for 5 touchdowns. Joe Flacco set an NFL record for the fastest amount of time it took a quarterback to throw for 5 touchdowns in one game.
Yeah.
And he had like 270 yards at the half.
Yeah, I don't think the Buccaneers came off the bus that day.
Yeah, that was
They didn't come off
ridiculous.
the bus. They were still on the bus.
I mean, I did not expect that. I thought maybe they would win, but not that was because the Ravens generally aren't that great on the road. But the Buccaneers just laid such an egg. That was awful.
Yeah, Lovie Smith, he probably was kicking some ass in that locker room, man.
He didn't even do that. Right? He just left. He didn't even bother. He
Went
said,
home and fucked his
I'm
wife.
getting out of here. Yeah.
Oh, fuck my wife.
Well, I
Did
don't know.
Lovie Smith? He kind of reminded me of Marty Morningwig back in the day with the Lions.
We'll take the win.
The look on his face.
Yeah, that's right. The confused look.
Yeah. Well.
Or it could be worse. It could be the Tom Coughlin angry look. The whole Monday night, every time they went, or Sunday night.
Yeah, like this.
Yeah, he was always angry and he had that red face.
Yeah. Some people have a theory he never recovered from the frostbite he got in Green Bay during like 80 below zero game. He still hasn't thawed out from
Yeah, his
that.
face is still hot.
Yeah, right.
So there you have you for real. Guaranteed pick. Danny D.
All right, my Week 7 Big D guarantee is the game is the Falcons at the Ravens in Baltimore. The Ravens are favored by 6 points. I am taking the Ravens. They have obliterated the NFC South in the 2 games they played this year. We discussed the game they played last week against Tampa. They also blew out Carolina at home. I think that they're going to block the Falcons stink. They lost at home to the Bears. The Falcons are 2-4, which means they're 4-18 in their last 22 games. Mike Smith is probably going to be fired. Their defense is awful. They can't stop anyone. And I think the Ravens, who just play better at home, are going to blow them out. I have no faith in the Falcons. They gave up 41 points to the Vikings, and they gave up 30 to the Giants the 2 weeks prior to this game. Then they gave up 27 to the Bears. I mean, they're not a good defense. They can't stop anyone. They can't get off the field. Matt Ryan hasn't been good. They miss Tony Gonzalez immensely. The running game is nothing to talk about. Steven Jackson should be cut. And probably a lot of players will be cut after the season. I just see this as a big Ravens win. I don't think the Atlanta has a shot.
Yeah, but the whole city is kind of down after the playoff run with the Major League Baseball, aren't they? I mean, you know, the
What does that
city's,
have to do with the football team?
yeah, they might be bummed out.
Why? None of them are from Baltimore.
No, I'm talking about the fans.
The fans will be happy. They don't care.
Fans might be bummed out.
They're crazy. They root for Ray Rice, who's a wife beater. They don't care. No, that's irrelevant. They're going to be pumped up. They're almost something to cheer for after that disgraceful effort by the Orioles in the ALCS. So they'll be pumped up, I think. They'll be ready to go. They're going to be there wanting blood. I mean, if the Ravens lose this game, they're going to tear down the stadium and kill John Harbaugh.
No, they're going to do like the Orioles. They're going to be down by 1 point in the fourth quarter, and they're going to lose.
Yeah. They're going to crush them. I mean, these people are going to go European style on these people. If they like those hooligans, they tear down the stadium after the game and set everybody on fire. I mean, it's just the Falcons are bad.
On the road,
they're awful, especially on the road. They're really awful. They got blown out by the Bengals on the road. The other AFC North opponent they faced. I expect them to get blown out by this team. They're awful. I really don't know why.
It is amazing, though.
You guys picked the Falcons last week to win.
Yeah, we did.
We did, because I thought they could win at home. But the road team, they've always been bad on the road.
Yeah.
In the Matt Ryan era, their numbers are very good at home, but bad on the road. And this year especially,
It's
they
weird.
lost to the Vikings. Vikings only have one win, and it's against them.
I think it's those arena teams have tough winning on the road. Like even the Saints, so when it's outdoors on the road, they have a tough record.
Yeah. The only kind of teams that do it, I think, is Indianapolis. Do a good job.
They've been pretty good, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, being as I'm from Tampa, the Buccaneers practiced the week prior to going to the Dome in the Trop. You know, they practiced in the Rays because the baseball season was over for the Rays, so they practiced in the Dome. But I guess that didn't help them too much.
No, they just suck.
Yeah. They're horrible. All
Yeah,
around.
they're that's an awful
That's an
group.
awful
They're back
team.
being the bad Bucks, like from the 70s.
Yeah.
You know,
I just like when the weather gets bad in D.C. and the Washington team. I cannot say the name of the the name of the franchise. I'd say the Washington football team. They when they have to practice in the hangar at Dulles Airport
no,
because they have an indoor facility.
no, they built one. They have one in Richmond, Virginia now. They built a brand new, like, $150 million indoor facility.
Don't ruin my story, Dan.
Sorry, they did.
That's what Dan's good at, man. To know it
They
all.
Don't ruin
do. It just opened this year. It's brand new.
Dan's
Don't rain on my parade.
story ruiner.
That's right. Well, I mean, I tell the truth.
Mr. Know It All over here.
That's
Scott.
right. Yeah,
It ruins our bullshit.
Yeah, right. Go back to talking to your gut. It's true. They finally got the idea that maybe we should practice inside instead of in the cold, in the rain.
No, actually, what they do is they move Air Force One out onto the tarmac so they can practice in the Air Force One hangar.
Well, I don't think they really practice very much anyway, since they're 1-5. So I don't think it really matters where they practice. Indoors, outdoors, upstairs, downstairs, whatever.
Oh, but RG3's ankle might be better. Let's all get excited.
Yeah, right.
That defense is terrible.
Their
anyway.
defense is awful.
Doesn't matter who's quarterback. Peyton Manning can be quarterback.
Yeah.
That defense is terrible.
Yeah, they're not stopping anybody.
They're secondary. They're like 30th in the league in
They
passing yards.
have gotten caught for, I think, 7 or 8 touchdowns, all in the same play. The exact same
they show
play.
that the guy going
The
up.
seam route. That's like 5 weeks in a
Yeah.
row. They've gotten caught that same play over and over and over again for touchdowns. Unbelievable. Their safeties suck.
Yeah, but how is Kyle Shanahan having success up in Cleveland? How the hell did that happen?
Because he got away from Dan Snyder. Dan Snyder's the worst owner in the NFL. He's an idiot. I mean, that team has been absolutely putrid since he took over. John Kent Cook, when he was the owner of the team, they had a great run. They won Super Bowls and all this stuff. He dies. They sell the team to Dan Snyder, and they've only been in the playoffs twice in his 17 or 18 years of ownership.
He likes the big names, the glamour.
And it never works because these guys are usually over the hill or they stink. He doesn't believe in drafting players like every other team in the
Yeah,
league.
like Dan likes to point out, which I usually argue with him, but he is right about that RG3 trade. They gave up a lot, and he sucks. They gave up like 2 or 3 first-round picks for him.
But they have no depth on the team. You look at special teams. John Greer was talking about this during the Monday night game against Seattle, that when you draft a lot of players, you also can draft starters and special team players. Their special teams are awful. They've given up two special teams touchdowns already this season, I think. They have no depth because they have no draft picks. They've destroyed that team. I have no idea. There's some things I don't understand. But one of them was why the general manager wasn't fired last season and why John Jay Gruden was forced to take on half of Mike Shanahan's old staff. Most of the defensive staff is left over from Mike Shanahan.
Yeah, Hazlitt.
I don't understand why he couldn't pick his own people.
And he's ruined, great coaches. You had Gibbs v 2.0 and Shanahan v 2.0, and he ruined both of them.
Yeah.
Well,
he's a bad owner.
Well, he's a bad owner.
Reputation of this man.
Well, and also the
Yeah.
other thing is, though, Shanahan was dead from the beginning because no coach who's ever won a Super Bowl with one team has ever won it with another. So he was dead in the water from the get-go with him. But he just doesn't manage the team very well. He doesn't let the GM do his job. He's too controlling, and it blew up in his face.
Yeah, like my favorite Snyder story was when he takes RG3 around in his limo. Like he lets his RG3 and his fiance, and he doesn't let anybody else on the team do it.
He's
only
married now,
let.
folks. He's married. It's his wife. Just to update the
Well,
story.
at the time it was his fiance though.
Yeah, but it's his wife now. You can just say his wife.
Whatever, his wife, fine, whatever. he was using Dan Snyder's limo to take his wife around, and none of the other players got to use the limo. That's a bad owner. You don't do that kind of shit.
It's not even that. It's just the stupid moves. I think he forced that trade for Robert Griffin. I don't think Shanahan wanted to do it. He wanted to take Kirk Cousins later because he saw the value in what the draft could give him. But he's so short-sighted, and this goes after the big name all the time, and it blows up in his face time and time and time again. Albert Hainsworth, Albert Griffin III. I forget who else. I mean, I've got his name. What's his name?
Portis, Clinton Portis.
Yeah, Clinton Portis. That didn't work at all. I'm sure
No.
at some point Deshaun Jackson's going to blow up and go crazy when they are 1-8 and they're done.
Yeah, he decides not to show up for a meeting. Remember?
Yeah,
that
I
one
mean,
Arizona, he didn't even show up for
it's going to
a
happen.
meeting or practice.
So he always gets these people, and it just doesn't work. And he makes himself out to be this great owner, but he stinks. When do you ever hear of from the owner of like what do you call it? The Seahawks. Never hear from him. You never hear from the owner of the Broncos. You don't hear about from these people. You don't hear from the owners of the Giants. And these people
Steelers.
or the Steelers. They've won Super Bowls. This guy's won nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's out there doing stupid
yeah.
stuff.
He's trying to be like the Dallas
Yeah,
Cowboys.
he's trying to be like Jerry Jones. He's all glitz and glamour.
And
he doesn't
Jerry
care.
Jones has been a complete failure.
Well, he had won 3 Super Bowls.
Yeah, but that wasn't that's when he was out of the loop. When he still had structure, he had a president of football operations, a GM, and he had a strong head coach. He eliminated all of these things and became everything, and they've been terrible ever since. Because they got the entire football structure. They had Gil Brandt, I forget the other guy's name, and they had Jimmy Johnson, who were great football people, and he eliminated everybody.
Yeah.
And they haven't even sniffed a Super Bowl since. They haven't been to an NFC Championship game since because of his meddling.
And the joke about Barry Switzer was he was Jones's puppet. He just did everything that Jones
yeah,
wanted.
I mean, they still had remnants of the great teams, but after that happened, after they fired Barry Switzer and everyone else was gone, that's when the team spiraled out of control and everyone started doing all that crazy stuff. And they got arrested all
That's
the time.
why Parcells only made it a couple of years because he couldn't deal with Jerry Jones anymore.
No, and he could probably would have been a great coach, but
Yeah.
as I said, no coach has won a Super Bowl with one team, has ever won it with another. So I think there's something to that. You need everyone to grow up together, and Jones and you need to have a hierarchy. No organization doesn't work without hierarchy and structure.
Well, and FedEx Field is a piece of garbage, and I don't know that they've ever won a playoff game in FedEx Field. I think that was the old RK with it, when they were winning playoff games, wasn't it?
Yeah, they haven't won a playoff game there. They won all the playoff games they ever won were on the road, I think. Anyway, we got to wrap this up.
Yeah.
Eagles won a playoff game in the Lincoln
Yeah,
Financial
they won
Center
like
there.
6 or something there.
Oh, there you go. Point in case.
But anyway, Brian has to
Hey,
get ready
I'm
because
trying
the
to catch
Wolves
a
and the
train.
Bears are grouping together and getting ready to attack him.
Yeah,
so
don't forget the homeless people that are coming
Yeah,
after me.
the Coyotes.
We got to do the big,
I think Brian's going to put on a Devils jersey and go down to the cheesesteak joint. Don't you love it's my same joke every week.
Yeah.
I'll be here all
But
week.
he has to go in 10 minutes.
All right, let's have the guaranteed Big B.
All right, the big B for week 7. I'm gonna steal Dan's love train for this week. I'm gonna take Indy. I guess he didn't feel confident enough.
No, you stole it.
No, I asked if you wanted it. You said you were gonna go with another pick.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with Indy. They're I'm gonna go with Indy. They play well at home. The spread's pretty low, -3. Cincinnati's played horrible the last couple of games. Their defense has looked atrocious. They've given up like 67 points
They
or
play
something.
bad on the road.
Yeah, they don't play well on the road. AJ Green might not play.
He's out. He's not going to play.
Oh, he's not going to play. So, I mean, that's a huge weapon to lose. Like I said, their defense just hasn't looked very well the last couple of weeks. I think Luck's been playing really, really well, and I think the defense is even starting to look a lot better.
They've got up 80 points the last 2 weeks to have the Bengals.
Yeah, and I think Luck's looked a lot better. And the big thing for me in the games, I think the Colts defense is playing a lot better lately. They're coming together as a team. They're getting pressure on the quarterback. The secondary is playing pretty well. I trust in Luck. I think when they're losing in the fourth quarter, he always finds a way to come back and win. I think since he came in the league, he has more comeback wins in the fourth quarter than any quarterback in the NFL. That includes Peyton Manning, Tom Brady. So for all those reasons, I'm going to steal Dan's love train as long as he allows me to. But you're welcome to have it back anytime you want, Dan.
All right, maybe next week. We'll see.
But I just like Big B's comment. I think he might have ripped that one off, though, one of his comments about his pick there.
Okay.
I think we became a team today! We became a team!
He says they became a team.
That's Dennis Green, I think. He's good for a quote.
Yeah, he
Him
is.
and Jim Moore are good for a quote.
Hey, Ditka.
Ditka.
Hey, Brian, what's that bit about Ditka versus God?
Oh, yeah. Dicka versus Guy in a game of golf. And then the other guys are like, is that regular size Dicka or is that mini Dicka? And they're like, all right, mini Dicka. Mini Dicka by a stroke. Mini Dicka by a stroke. Oh, I'm having another heart attack. That's only my gate. I love that.
Peter, that's a sleeper to me. That's one of the best SNL bits ever.
Yeah,
Was
by far.
Yeah, that
no,
Jeopardy.
it wasn't that one. It was the Mike Ditka type of Christmas special.
Well, they did it for all Chicago teams because they had one with Michael Jordan too. He was on there, and they were talking about. So, Mike, do you think you could beat the LA Lakers by yourself?
Didn't they ask him, do you think you could beat Ditka?
Yeah. And then they got
The
mad
best
when he
one
said
was-
yes. They did
on
it.
Christmas morning. No, Ditka on Christmas morning was telling his family, he says, I don't know if we're good enough to do a Christmas special. And then he gave his son a football, and it was obviously in the wrapped, but it was in the shape of a football.
Oh, man.
He's like, I don't know if we as a family are good enough to do a Christmas special.
That's funny.
So you are taking you're taking you're taking Jacksonville. You're taking, no, I'm just kidding. You're taking the Brownies. The Brownies are hot. You're taking the big Red Tomato and his Kansas City Chiefs. Those are your combined picks. We are guaranteeing, put your money where your mouth is, guaranteeing. What are we guaranteeing? We're guaranteeing, that the Ravens will win at home, and we're guaranteeing that your other Baltimore Colts team will win at home,
The Love Train.
which is now the Indy Colts.
The
Thank you.
The Andrew Luck Love Train.
The Andrew Luck Train. So go out and place your bets, and as always,
Score with Big Pick 4.